Hello out there. Happy Monday. It's 8:08 and we're on the air. A little bit early today. Earlier than usual because we got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Too much. Oh, my nose is itchy. Had toilet paper here. Had. Keyword had. Good morning. Good morning, world. Happy Monday. It is July the 8th. I cannot believe it's July the 8th already. Summer's flying, but we got some good weather this week. Birds are chirping. Arnie's chasing birds bright and early today. He's going through a weird phase right now where he's chasing everything. So could end poorly for him if we're not careful. Gotta really rein him in, I think, a little bit. He thinks he's king of the forest. Has to chase all the birds, all the deer. Oh, actually, we haven't talked since his adventure on Friday morning. No, I think it was Saturday morning, actually, because it was early. So got up at about 6:30 on Saturday. I don't know. I think I slept on the couch, actually. Woke up. Arnie had to go outside. And he was going through his normal routine, normal business, taking a whiz in his usual spot. And I saw this baby deer. On the road, which is about 50 feet from where he usually pees. And the baby deer starts running towards him, not like running to chase him, but just like curiously walking up to Arnie. And I'm like, oh my God, what's going to happen here? I didn't have my phone on me, unfortunately, but they were like face to face, probably a foot apart from each other. And all of a sudden this deer just takes off past Arnie. And of course, Arnie takes off after him. So they take off down the road. I thought Arnie would just kind of stop there and come back, but no, he definitely didn't. So I was calling him. I ran all the way down the road looking for him, came back, woke up Bridge, said, we got to go find Arnie. I don't know where he is. And anyways, I got in the car. She got on foot and he started trotting back down the road here. I don't know where he came from, but he was absolutely covered in everything. He went through the bush chasing this deer. So he was covered in burrs. He was soaking wet. And I don't think he did any damage to the deer, but found a new friend. So that's what he's going through right now. And then he's chasing magpies this morning. Anyways, we got a lot of stuff to talk about today. So let's get right to it. BTC Backpacker is mowing lawns for Sats today. It's a good strategy, man. Good strategy. Ballsy Golf in the house. Good morning. And we got Anton. Hello from the Ukraine. Hello from Canada. And we have a Zap nice and early in the chat. As a reminder, today on Zap.stream, just like every Monday. Oh, it disappeared. Mondays are for Ernie. I don't know what happened to the Zaps here. Hold on. That's gone. Somebody's at 420. I don't know who it was. I'm sure they're still in there. But says I'm back. Good morning, freak. I'm guessing that says freaks. Hopefully not calling me a freak, but freaks. So whoever sent 420, thank you. It disappeared. I saw it, but it was just showing up as an NPub. Okay, so let's get to the metrics. Let's get to the mempool. Let's get to the Bitcoin well. Why does this keep playing? We got a long show today, so hope you don't have much work to do. Show is called Living in the Future, and we're going to be talking about a few things in the future. The main topic today is going to be NOSTR on the second part of the show, which I think that everybody should be attending if you have any interest in securing a stake in the future. There's a lot going on in the house right now. Okay, let me get this up. We'll do the contest nice and early today. Yesterday, we waited about an hour to do it, but today we're going to do it right off the hop. So this is the mempool. Great resource for any new Bitcoiners out there. You can see the Bitcoin fees. You can see the approximate amount of transactions in the mempool. And every mempool is different. This is just mempool.space. But every time you send a Bitcoin transaction, this is where it goes to. It goes into the mempool. And until you set a transaction fee high enough for it to be picked up in a block, it'll just sit in the mempool. Could be a week, could be 2 weeks, could be longer. But that's where every Bitcoin transaction that you send on layer 1 goes to, the mempool. So if you're trying to get your transaction into a block, you're going to have to pay at least 6 sats per VByte, which is extremely, extremely low. Lowest I've seen in a very long time. So we got the usual suspects here, Foundry USA, we got Ampool, we got Via BTC, and we got Foundry once again. So what can we do about that? That's the question, and that maybe I'll talk about that right now. Let's do it right now. So I got a couple of these guys on the weekend. Actually, let me show this video first quickly, because there was a Bitaxes, a quick video that I saw. It's a minute long. Where are we here? So I got a couple of these Bitaxes in the mail last week. Haven't set them up yet. I'm hoping to do it today. But let's take a look at this video for this guy's unboxing and review of a Bitaxes. Because one of the problems, that I wouldn't say it's a problem right now, but one of the potential problems for Bitcoin is the centralization of miners. And so what we can do is everybody here, and my goal for this year is to get every single person who's ever watched the Bitcoin journey, get them mining using a Bitaxes. So let's watch this.
Today we are going to build generational wealth. This is a Bitaxes Supra, which is a tiny Bitcoin miner with only one single Bitcoin mining chip. For comparison, S21 Pro, which is a top-notch Bitcoin miner, has 324 of these same chips. So this mighty little thing is very weak. However, it has also very little electricity consumption of 15 watts, which is around 10 cents in Germany per day. I paid 281,920 Satoshis. So let's get this bad boy running and become spiffy rich. Plugged it in. Let's go! Super easy setup, and we are mining, baby. So now I'm making 0.00000046 Bitcoin per day, which is 46 Satoshis, which is 2 cents. By now, I had the Bitaxes running for around 9 days, which put me at 379 Satoshis. During the same time, this little thing had cost me around 90 cents in electricity costs, which puts me at 70 cents loss. So I guess generational wealth creation has to wait until another day.
Generational wealth has to wait until another day. So I got this little guy. They're quite little. The Bitaxes. So I'm going to get this thing humming soon. Pretty sexy little unit. I might buy a case for it, but that'll cut into profits as well. So he said he was losing about 70 cents, but we don't talk in cents. We talk in sats. So he's not really losing anything. He's losing some fake fiat, but he's gaining non-KYC Bitcoin. So as I said, my goal for this year is to get every single person who's ever watched this show set up with one of these Bitaxes, mining Bitcoin. I got 2 of them. I'm going to hook up one to a pool mine, and I'm going to use a solo miner for one of them. The solo miner is more of a lottery ticket, but if you ever hit that block, 3 Bitcoin coming your way. So it's a little bit better than 279 Satoshis. But don't think of when you get one of these Bitaxes. I want everybody to have one of these because it's important to decentralize the Bitcoin network and the mining, even if it is a small amount, 1/324th of a normal miner. But that doesn't matter. We want to decentralize the network. We want to get everybody involved learning this stuff. And then if you ever do get a miner, you're kind of already familiar with the whole process of it. So when you do get one of these, I don't want you to think about the cost in fiat. He said he's losing 70 cents a day. I want you to think about all the Satoshis that you're going to be accruing. Start earlier than later. Don't wait to do this. Get going with it. Get all your Satoshis into one little non-KYC pile and just sit on that for a while. Because even like today's show's titled Living in the Future. So don't consider the cost of the Satoshis today. Think about what they're going to be worth in 10 years from now. And the best time to be starting that is today. So actually, I ordered these from a company called Solo Satoshis. So I've been talking back and forth with Matt, who is one of the owners of Solo Satoshi. And hold on, let me find this just to make sure I get it right. He actually set me up with a store. So we got a little storefront for the Bitcoin journey. If anybody out there wants to order one of these Bitaxes, I think I paid about $300 for both of them. So I'm going to put this link right now into the bottom of this show, into the show notes. And if you're somebody who's been wanting to get a Bitaxe, I'm going to be talking about it for the next little while. So if you want to follow along on the journey, get yours ordered and start keeping track with us here, I'm going to put a link for you to do it. They are the cheapest one. He said he paid about $300 for one of them. I paid $150 each, $300 for both of them. And you are able to get them shipped to, if you're in Canada, in the US, or if you're in Australia. So for everybody else, I apologize, but that's kind of the only way that we could do it with the prices that he had. So I got the Bitaxes now in there in the key links in the chain part of the show notes. So check that out. Check that one out. If you're interested, use that link. They're kind of a sponsor of the show in a more casual way, I guess you'd say. But that has officially been added into the show notes. So it's right at the top. Look under Bitaxes. And like I said, the best prices you're going to find are with Solo Satoshi. They're an American company too. So there you go. That is in there for you officially. So let's get back to the metrics here. Sorry, I missed a couple chats here. Rock and Roll says, good morning, wonderful Bitcoiners. The German government and Mt. Gox cannot keep Bitcoin down. We are ready for them. Stats coming. James Bond is also in the house. Couple minutes to say hello to all my mates of the kingdom. James Bond says the link will be on the website. The link will actually be in the show notes here. So it just says Bitaxe, and then there's a BTC Pay site for the Bitcoin journey that you can use to get one of those. Like I said, I paid about $150 Canadian, I believe. So very, very reasonably priced. He said he's the cheapest in the business by far. So I trust him. He seems like a pretty legit fella. Oh, we got lots going on over in Zaps as well. Okay. So once again, all of the Zaps today are going towards our good friend, Arnie. Let's see if he's here. Hey, bud. He's here. So every Monday we put all the sats. I take them from Zap.stream. I send them to his wallet. And also on that note, big shout out to Letha this morning, who zapped Arnie 1,000 sats over on NOSTR. So thank you to Letha for that. That's Arnie's pumped about that. As pumped as a dog could be about receiving Bitcoin. I think he'd rather have a treat, but for now, Bitcoin it is. Okay, so let's get back to the metrics here. Let's do the Bitcoin well contest. So as mentioned, the fees are very cheap. 6 right now. This said 9, but that was earlier in the day. Price today has gone up about $2,000 since we talked last. $57,141 US. And 1 year ago today, you could have purchased a Bitcoin for about half of that, $30,192 US. And 4 years ago, could have purchased a whole Bitcoin, a whole coin for $9,466. This Moscow time is wrong. So I'm going to guess it's about 1,700. Go with that. I know the Canadian one is right, though. So the price here in Canada today, 77,832 Canadian dollars. And the Moose Jaw time, which is sponsored by our good friends over at Bitcoin Well. The Moose Jaw time, which is the Canadian equivalent, 1 Canadian dollar will get you 1,283 sats. So that is official. That is the official amount today. And as mentioned, that's sponsored by Bitcoin Well, and every day we give away some Bitcoin here on the show. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Let's get into Bitcoin Well. If you're in Canada or if you're in the US, make sure, or at least consider signing up for a Bitcoin Well account for their exchange. They got a lot of different features and functions on their platform. They got contests, they got offers, including their Bitcoin wishing well. Holy, can you see this? No. Look at this. How do you expect me to get the stairs out of this whole thing? I'm gonna have to do the whole thing. Huh. Hopefully that is good enough. There it is. So as mentioned, every coin that you throw into the Bitcoin wishing well, you can win up to 1 million sats. We haven't hit that yet, but we will. So let's get to it today. Get your phones out, get your Lightning wallet ready, and we're going to do our coin toss for the day. So here we go. These are ways you can earn points. You can earn points for buying, selling, your first transaction, taking a Bitcoin knowledge quiz. You get 500 points and a toss into the wishing well. You get 500 points for signing up a friend, and you get 1,000 points when your friends make their first buy and sell. So lots of tosses into the wishing well. And if you use the bitcoinwell.com/Jor link, you get 5 free tosses as well. So let's redeem this. We're ready to go. So the first person to scan this, what happened? Where did it go? Okay. Well, that was a waste of a toss, I guess. And it counted it too. Interesting. Oh, it did it again. What's going on here? Well then, let's stop sharing that. Let's refresh this page. We just spent 1,000 sats. If I were a customer there, see, I can't even see these now. If I were a customer there and that happened, I would definitely reach out to them and say, what the hell? What the hell, Bitcoin? Well, let's try this again. It must have something to do with pop-ups, I'm guessing, because it popped up, but then it went away. Let's try this again. Don't like that. I guess no winner today. I don't know what the play is there. We'll try it one more time, and then we'll reach out to Adam and say, Adam, what the heck, man? I'm thinking it has to do with the pop-up, though, because it shows up and then it disappears. I don't know. Okay, I guess no contest today. Sorry about that, everybody. Sorry about that. Okay, well, we tried. I see some sats in here flowing. They're not showing up on my screen, but I see 121, I see a 420, and I see a 2100 sat. So thank you for whoever sent those in. Things aren't working great this morning. Kind of expected on a Monday, but fucking annoying. I should be able to see on here. Nope, can't. Nothing's working. Yeah, they ran out of sats. It should be in there. I just added it to the show notes. Hopefully I did it on the right one though. Anyways, we got too much to talk about here. I'm dicking around too much this morning. I did not anticipate that happening. So let's start the show with my favorite video from the weekend that I saw, which is a 12-year-old Canadian girl talking about the banks. You may or may not have seen this over the weekend. It kind of went somewhat viral. It's got 1.4 million views, which is incredible. But this is from a concerned citizen here in Canada, coming from another concerned citizen, myself. So this says the banks and government have colluded to financially enslave the people of Canada. This is a 12-year-old girl saying this. Brilliant 12-year-old girl exposes banking scam in language a 12-year-old can understand. Apply the same logic to every central bank-backed country, which is most, if not all. So here we go. We got a minute video here. This is incredible stuff. And as we've talked about on the show before, Justin Trudeau has done an incredible amount of damage, but at the same time, he's also woken up a lot of Canadians to the whole thing that's happening here, the whole scam, the whole enslavement that we're going through. So this 12-year-old girl can thank Justin Trudeau for creating her.
Have you ever wondered why Canada is in debt? Have you ever wondered why the government forces Canadians to pay so many taxes? Have you ever wondered why the bankers from the largest private banks are becoming wealthier and the rest of us are not? What I have discovered is the banks and the government have colluded to financially enslave the people of Canada. The government borrows money from the private banks. They then lend the debt-based money to Canada with compounded interest. The government then continues to increase taxation of Canadians year after year in order to pay back the interest on the exponentially growing national debt. What results is inflation. The government gave the banks the ability to loan out money that doesn't exist in the form of loans. They click a key on a computer and generate the fake money out of thin air. They don't actually have it in their bank vaults. Presently, the banks only have $4 billion on reserve, but they have loaned out over $1.5 trillion. It's their freedom and they need to be stopped. I said the following, and I hope that all of you remember this. Never doubt that a small group of people can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has.
Okay. That's so incredible to see, honestly, especially the part at the end. Remember this, she said. Never doubt that a small group of people can change the world. In fact, it is the only thing that ever has. So there was somebody who actually within the Living in the Future community a couple weeks ago asked, I think I put a question out there. What do you want to talk about going into the future when I get back? All this kind of stuff. I think it was Bodie who asked, like, what's the whole mission here? What are you trying to accomplish with the channel, with the Living in the Future community? And I think that just going back to what she said at the end there, that never doubt a small group of people and the ability to change the world. In fact, it's the only thing that ever has. And I really believe that. I think that, from day one, I think that there's quite a few people in the chat here and watching on Zap.stream who have been here for a long time now in this community here. And one thing I've said from the very start is that it's going to happen. It takes one person, one day at a time, one person at a time, and we can make actual change here. We have the ability. And without Bitcoin, I think it would have been a much more difficult task to do it. But now that we have this decentralized, censorship-resistant money that can actually be used and that it is being used today to go around that old system, that's how we do it. And it is a war. We call it a peaceful revolution, but at the same time, it's a war. There is a war happening right now, whether people actually want to admit that or not at the moment. There's a war over the currency that's going to be used. There's BRICS, there's the US, there's all these other countries in the mix, Russia, who is part of BRICS, but then there's Bitcoin as well. So these people have had control, as she said, enslaved the population for the last 100 years using their fiat money, using their debt-based currency she had an example of $4 billion in reserve, actual money that they have in the banks. And they have the ability to lend out more than $1 trillion. So that's over 100% of the money that they take in. Fractional reserve banking used to be like for $1, I think you could loan out 10. since COVID, it's gone up dramatically. And so we're going into quite the financial shitstorm here in the next couple of years. And, you know, if you're watching the show today, you're part of the solution. You're part of the movement who's trying to change things. And I really believe that as well, that even though it seems like such a daunting task, the only way that things ever change and have changed throughout history is with a small group of people. And I'm not saying it's this community, but we're part of it. So I thank you all for being here, for contributing to that. And shout out to the 12-year-old girl who has more common sense and logic than the majority of Canadians nowadays. But at the same time, that's the beauty of kind of where we are right now. That's the future. That's our youth. They're going to be born and raised into this system. They're not going to be going into banks to deposit money. They're not going to be watching the news. They're not going to be trusting the government like we all did, like our parents did, like our grandparents did. Because back then there was 3 options for communication. There was TV, radio, and newspaper. That's it. That's where everybody got their source of information from. And which explains why it's taken so long to actually reprogram people's brains out of that fiat slavery system. So the bad news is that it's going to take a little while for this to happen. But the good news is that we have people like her and many other young kids who are going through the same new life, new decentralized world of actually seeking out the truth and wanting to, and having the ability to do it. I gotta top up my thing here. I just noticed that we're running low. So coming off of that, let's watch an adult talk about kind of the same thing. And then we're going to go over to Zap.stream exclusively right away. Okay, it's this one. So this video also went viral. This is a little bit longer than the other one, but it's incredible that this kind of stuff is like being talked about now in the mainstream. This guy was on Joe Rogan. He's a comedian, and I hope I don't get in shit for showing this on here, but I don't know. Sorry, I missed a couple chats here that I wanted to touch on. So Hank's son, greetings from Hamburg, Germany. And I saw that Ian Martin is here, first time catching the live show. Good to have you here, Ian. And we got Brennan, our buddies, back after a few weeks on vacay, but back in the chat. And our good pal, Rick Costa. Feels good to smash the like button. Is there any likes on there right now? A couple. Now we got about half the people. So if you're the half that hasn't yet, let's have some here. So here we go. This is, I don't even know his name, but I listened to this and I had goosebumps for the majority of the video. So I wanted to share it with everybody here. So this is a 4-minute video. Let's enjoy it. Hopefully this doesn't get us kicked off of YouTube, but if it does, we got Zap.stream.
These wars aren't meant to be won. They're meant to be ongoing. Because they had a peace agreement. You know that. They had a peace agreement almost immediately after the invasion, Russia invaded. They had a peace agreement. And the Ukraine agreed to it. Zelensky agreed to it. And they flew Boris Johnson out there and said, you can't do this or we're going to kill you. And so that's why you can't do it. And so that's why this war is ongoing, and they have to rip people off corners and put them in vans to go fight in this fucking war. The average age of the Ukraine military is over 40 years old.
Have you seen the videos of guys getting kidnapped?
Yes, I can't even watch it.
Guys with their families, they just grab a guy.
They just grab him, and people are screaming. They're throwing him in a van. You're going to go fight in a war. I think you lost the war when we already did. So they did. Yeah. So, and then of course, nobody knows how this war started. You've had Dave Smith on. He explained it. Yeah. You know, nobody still to this day knows about the Maidan coup, that the United States got in bed with right-wing Nazis in Ukraine to overthrow a democratically elected government. And then they started bombing the people in the east of Ukraine called the Donbass, and they wouldn't stop. They had 2 peace agreements called the Minsk Accords. Guess who violated them? The Ukraine. It wasn't that. And so, I've heard people say that, and then of course it was the expansion of NATO, right? The threat of putting NATO on the border of Russia, which everybody from Kissinger to Chomsky and everybody in between said, that's a mistake. Don't do that. And that's of course what they're doing. And so there's no, what's the point of NATO anymore? And then this whole idea, they're doing the domino theory again. Oh, well, if we allow him to do this to Ukraine, he's going to go to Poland next. And it's the same fucking shit they said all the time. It's the domino theory. And again, the world's terrorists are the United States. Look what we did to Iraq. Look what we did to Libya. Libya, the most successful country in all of Africa. The guy created the eighth wonder of the world with the way.
So this part's important. This is from Africa or Libya.
Libya, the most successful country in all of Africa. The guy created the eighth wonder of the world with the way how he delivered water and turned deserts into farmland. And everybody had a house and everybody had education and healthcare. And we turned it into a failed state run by terrorists with open slave markets. Who did that? Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton did that. And they'll never have to pay a price for that. Barack Obama, the most they'll do is go, oh, that was a mistake.
But why did they get rid of Gaddafi?
Because he was going to start a currency of Africa just for that was going to compete with the US dollar and the euro. And they can't have that because the way the United States controls the world is because the United States dollar is the reserve currency of the world. So that's why they can put sanctions on all these countries. And so what they're doing, which they shouldn't do, they're weaponizing the US dollar.
So he tried creating a currency. This was Gaddafi. Tried creating a currency that would compete against the US dollar. And what'd they do? Killed him. And so you wonder why. You wonder why Satoshi did this whole thing in such a discreet fashion. Because this is exactly what the US does to people who dare go against their system. So imagine if they could figure out who created Bitcoin. I'm guessing they could if they wanted to. But I don't know. It seemed like everything about his whole setup of Bitcoin and the way he did it all was very methodical and very precise. So maybe not. Maybe he was smart enough to go around it. But either way, you can understand why now Satoshi wanted to remain anonymous.
And so like when countries want to trade with each other, they have to go take their currency, change it into US dollars so they can trade. And a lot of it was based on the petrodollar, which, by the way, Saudi Arabia just quit. They didn't renew it. I don't know if you heard about that.
Yeah, I did hear about that.
So, and all of a sudden, CBS News is starting to do news stories about how Saudi Arabia was involved in 9/11. All of a sudden, 24 years later, all of a sudden, oh, you know what? Turns out there was something happened with it. And they're like, you mean 2 weeks after they decided to not renew the fucking petrodollar? Now CBS News is allowed to talk about that and investigate it, which when I talked about it, got demonetized. But anyway, so that's why, because Gaddafi was doing that.
Mm-hmm.
He was going to set up a currency for all of Africa, and it was going to be based on have a gold standard. And so they're like, no, you're not. You're not fucking doing that. And they made up a bullshit thing like, we got to save the people. Whatever. They don't give a fuck about the people in America. They got veterans and everybody else living under every goddamn bridge in this country. You think if they gave a shit about those people, don't you think they'd start helping the people right outside the front door?
Right.
Instead of, no, we got to go help people in Libya, and we got to help people. It's about helping people in Ukraine, and it's about helping people in Taiwan, and it's about no. This is all about an upward transfer of money. This is about balkanizing countries and turning it over to BlackRock and Vanguard. That's what this is about.
Yeah.
And we'll be right back.
Whoa. Rock and Roll says the goal is an endless war, not a successful war. Julian Assange. Yeah, that was quite the video there. Quite the video. And I'll probably get in some shit for showing that now, to be honest with you. But we got to get the message out there. We have to be talking about this stuff because it is important. Oh, I see the zaps here now. So the first one's from Daniel 420. I see my Pat the Fire zapped 420. Thank you, my friend. Microdose zapped 121. And our good buddy Mav zapped 2.1 thousand sats. So thank you, my friends. Ballsy Golf says, no worry about the Bitcoin. Well, Adam will make it right. I agree. Adam, I haven't known him for that long. I haven't had a whole lot to do with him, but from my conversations with him, he seems like a very legit fella, which you know, when I'm buying things, and I probably do this subconsciously in a way without even thinking about it a lot of times, but any businesses that I support, whether that's like a restaurant, a grocery store, anything locally, I always think about, I'm not supporting the business, I'm supporting the person. It's not that I really need this. I could find it somewhere else, but I'm always supporting the person there. And that's why I love Bitcoin Well. Not only is it available for Canadians and Americans, which is kind of rare here in Canada, but I like Adam. He's been around for a long time. He's a very, very net positive for Bitcoin, and anything that I can do to help support them and we can support him, I think we should be trying to support those kind of people in Bitcoin, because there's a lot of people within Bitcoin, within crypto, who aren't that way. So we have to find the right ones. We have to associate with the right ones and support the right ones. So anyways, that quite the 4 minutes there, I think. But again, it just goes to show why Satoshi decided to be anonymous throughout this whole crazy journey. Okay, so let's I'm going to end with this right now, and then we're going to move over to Zap.stream. So you have a couple minutes here to get over to Zap.stream. But this is what I actually wanted to start the show with this today. So this is part of the living the future. I think I want to spend a little bit more time talking about it today, but unfortunately we ran out of time with the Bitcoin well issue. We got the well was broken. But I wanted to start the show talking about this today because this is something that we talk about within Living the Future. Some of the private shows we've done, it's kind of based around this. Lightning could strike at any moment. And so I want you to listen to this. It's only about 30 seconds long, but kind of regardless of whatever you're working on right now, whether you're at a job, whether you're starting your own business, whether you're starting a YouTube channel, whatever that is, I want you to listen to this because there's going to be times where it seems like it's never going to work. You're going to grow impatient. Oh, there's a deer. It might be the deer that Arnie was chasing the other day. No, it's too big. But kind of regardless of whatever you're doing, there's going to be tough times, and it's going to seem like no matter what you do, you can't seem to get it right. But once you get into that mentality, it's easy to stay there forever. But if you switch your thinking and switch your belief into at any second, any day here, lightning could strike at any moment, regardless of whatever you're working on, lightning can strike at any moment. And if you have that mentality, it's going to change the way you look for opportunities and at different things that you see in your everyday life. So let's listen to this guy. Once again, he says it a little bit better than me, but it's kind of the idea here is that lightning could strike at any moment. So keep that mentality because it's the truth.
And I'd say, really, Dad? And you go, no, you're actually a lot closer than you think. But because you think it's so far away, you behave in accordance with that belief system, and it always keeps it that far away from you.
So how do we bring our dreams closer to us?
The first thing is, that's a great question. The first thing is you need to believe and know that you're one decision, one relationship, one meeting, one book, one thought, one something away from a completely different life. And when you know that, you begin to look for them. You're not as far away from these dreams as you think you are. And I'd say, really, Dad? And you go, no, you're actually a lot closer than you think. But because you think it's so far away, you behave in accordance with that belief system, and it always keeps it that far away from you.
So how do we bring our dreams closer to us?
The first thing is, that's a great question. The first thing is you need to believe and know that you're one decision, one relationship, one meeting, one book, one thought, one something away from a completely different life. And when you know that, you begin to look for them.
Lots of videos today, and we got one more coming up here, second part of the show. But worth sharing. I came across that, and it really made me think of the things that we've been talking about here in terms of exactly what he said. If you get into that mindset of understanding the fact that everything takes time, regardless of what you're doing, everything takes time. But if you put yourself in that mindset of that, I'm so close here. Lightning is going to strike. It could strike at any moment. I don't know when it's going to be, who it's going to be from, what's going to cause it, but it could happen at any time. And once you're in that, you're seeking opportunities. You're looking for things that are outside of your current state, your current life. And so keep that in mind. I think when you're, regardless of what you're doing right now, keep that in mind that lightning could strike at any moment. So let's finish with this. The last thing I wanted to talk about here today was security stuff. Security stuff. And I want everybody to listen closely with this. This was from somebody, two things here. The first part is that with Bitcoin, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, but with Bitcoin, I feel like I take a lot of things for granted. I kind of take for granted the fact that probably nobody's going to break into my house tomorrow. My house probably isn't going to catch on fire tomorrow, but you don't want to get too complacent with things. And this is something I kind of switched my mind about as well in the last couple of weeks, is that I would be kind of loosey-goosey with things. For example, I set up a new wallet last week. I brought up my notepad from the safe, and I hadn't written in it yet. So I was just going to leave it. It was 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, whatever, I'll do it tomorrow. But those are the times when things go wrong, because who knows, maybe that night I go to bed, the house starts on fire, my notebook burns, and all my Bitcoin's gone. So I just want you to think about that. I don't want you to ever get complacent with your security process. Make sure that it's always locked tight, regardless of whatever your setup looks like. Make sure that it's always, it's not just sometimes, not just when it's convenient for you, but make sure that it's always solid, because the time you least expect things to happen is when it's going to happen. So just keep that in mind. Don't ever get complacent. Don't ever get too loose with your Bitcoin, even though you might think it's only worth $1,000 in fiat these days. It's going to be worth a lot more in the future. So protect it like you're living in the future already. Protect your Bitcoin like it's 10 years away. It's 100 times more valuable than it is today, which it is. Nothing's going to change. Nothing. The only thing that's going to happen there is time. More and more people are going to get into Bitcoin. The demand is going to go up. The supply is going to keep going down. But treat your Bitcoin as if we're 10 years away, and protect it like we're already 10 years away. But the second part here is that somebody emailed me yesterday saying that I don't want to dox them because of the passphrase thing. But they sent an email saying that they set up their passphrase. They set up their cold card a couple months ago. They decided, which is a very good move, they decided to just review their security process and make sure that they have everything, they know what they're doing with it, and they can access it. So, because the last thing you want to do here is get your cold card set up, get your security process down, and then wait until you need it, like 6 months, a year, 2 years down the road. And at that point, it's going to be so far out of your mind that if the smallest thing goes wrong, you're going to panic. So the best thing you can do is when you're setting up your Bitcoin, and kind of forever, honestly, is make sure you're always checking up on your security process. Go through it, restore it, set up your wallet, set up a transaction, make sure you can go through the whole steps of actually moving your Bitcoin. Because when you have to do it, when you're forced to do it, it's going to be a very stressful environment. Whatever that is, it's going to be a very stressful environment. So make sure that you practice it, make sure that you have it down. And the one thing that they mentioned was that they went to put in their passphrase and it didn't work. So imagine that. You have all this Bitcoin, you set up a passphrase, you did everything right, but the passphrase isn't working. Something's off there. So they said that actually they put their passphrase in, but when they actually set it up, they added an extra character at the end of it by accident. So something for everybody to check on here. You might have done this without even knowing it. So what she did is, sorry, I said she, but what they did was put their word in there, and then they added a space, I think, or the next thing the next character that automatically gets added in there, and it worked. So they had a 6. I'll just say she now because it's cat's out of the bag. But she put in her word. Let's say it was 6 letters long, and then there was a character at the end of it. So she added that in there, and it worked. So two things to consider there is make sure you check on your security process, go through it this week sometime, make sure that you know what you're doing there. And the second part there is that if something like that does happen to you, then you know what to do. It could work. So I'm a little bit, I've used mine before. And the thing with the passphrase is it's not like a Facebook account where you put in your word and then it makes you retype it again. That's not the case here. You basically just put in your word. That's your new wallet that's created. And it doesn't do a confirmation or make you retype it or anything like that. You just put in the word, it opens up a new wallet, and that's where you move your Bitcoin to. But you have to make sure that you actually know that word and that it did it properly. Because in this case, it didn't. It added an extra character there. So that's what I want to just mention to everybody, just to keep it at the top of your head, top of your brain, try it out, and make sure that, you know, it doesn't happen to you. Because that's the last thing you want. You want to go, you don't want to put in all this time, all this money, all this attention into learning about Bitcoin, and then all of a sudden a year from now, you go to try to access your Bitcoin and you can't. Imagine that feeling. You've just been stacking Bitcoin, stacking sats, sending it to your wallet every day, every week, every month. And then you go to actually move it and you can't. Rock and Roll says, curious, what's that graph behind you on the bookshelf? This is the flippening. Rick says, cat's out of the bag, it's a woman. Yeah, I gave way too much away there. No, I didn't. There's about 4 billion women on Earth. So this is the chart. I think I've shown this on the show before. Can you see it? Bitcoin's kind of in a crappy font there. But this is the flippening. So there's trust in time. And as time goes on, the trust in fiat goes down. And the trust in Bitcoin, as you've seen, we went from about 100 nerds using it back in 2009, 2010, 2011, to many people, many millions of people today. So the beauty about this is once we get to that flippening, that's kind of when Bitcoin, I think, takes over. And the same time there, if you look at the trust in fiat, that's going down and it's never coming back up. That's the thing. And we all heard the phrase, once you see it, you can't unsee it. That's absolutely true. So with trust in fiat, it's going down and it's never coming back up. So Gabrielle says, hey man, what are your thoughts on Caspa saying it's crypto silver? I actually got into a little bit of a tussle with a Caspa guy yesterday on Twitter. So Caspa to me seems like it's a decent project. And I also watched the Bitcoin University video on it. And I would suggest a lot of people after this or sometime today, if you're interested in learning about Caspa, watch the Bitcoin University show that he did on it. Kind of my main takeaway from it is that Caspa is using the same kind of proof of work, decentralized network, same aspects of Bitcoin, but it's there's more of it. It also has a fixed supply though. But the founder, we know who the founder is. I forget his name. I think he's a Russian guy, but we know who the founder is, or he's I don't know. Just watch the video and you can tell that we talked about Gaddafi there and the reason for remaining anonymous. This guy is not anonymous. The creator of Caspa is not anonymous. He's actually on Twitter and he posts a lot of different political views, which if you understand the importance of having a money that's created by an anonymous person versus somebody who's out there, has the ability to influence people. Satoshi did it perfectly. He created it. He made sure that it was running, and then he stepped away. This founder kind of realized the importance of that, but he didn't step away. He's still active. Everybody knows who he is. He's on social media. So I would say that, as Anton says here, Caspa is a scam. I don't know that it's a scam. I just don't think that it's a worthwhile investment or a worthwhile project. It has the same properties as Bitcoin, except the key piece there is that it's missing an anonymous founder, which is important. And my theory on that whole thing is that's why Trump stayed away from it for so long, is because he didn't want to sway people one way or the other. He wanted to let people kind of figure it out on their own. And he didn't want people to buy Bitcoin just because he told them to buy Bitcoin. And if he would have came out and started talking about it a couple of years ago, everybody would have been shitting on him for it and running away from it. That's the 5% of people who are voting Democrats nowadays would have been running away from it. But as we know, Bitcoin is for everybody. So there we go. There you have it. Where'd my Bitaxes go? Oh, there it is. So as I said, today's going to be a long show. It is Monday, so hopefully you have some time to check things out today. So what you can do now, you got two options here. First one, you can head over to zap.stream. Just type that into your browser, zap.stream, and you can watch the second part of the show. Or you can sign up for, in the show notes, there's also a link that says Living in the Future. You can either do the $3 per month just to see the second part of every show, or you can do the $5 or $8 a month, I think it is, for the Living in the Future community, where you actually, we got a signal chat. We got 2 of them going now, and it's a really good place, I think, for anybody out there who's looking to just communicate with other Bitcoiners, learn, share resources, share ideas, build things together. That's kind of what's been going on there. So if that's interesting to you, you can spend a little bit more money for that tier and have access to the community there. So that's your options there. But you do have the choice. If you want to just keep watching for free, just head over to zap.stream. If you want to support the show, you can sign up for the Living in the Future tier. So with that, we're actually going to be talking about information, decentralized information, how Bitcoin is information, and then NOSTR. So kind of this week, I think, as long as I have enough things to talk about, we're going to be spending the week talking about NOSTR, which I think that many Bitcoiners are sleeping on. I think it's basically the new internet, how it's going to change how we do everything online. And the better you can get yourself set up, the better you can get onto NOSTR and figure things out, build a community there, the better off you're going to be. And the bigger your Bitcoin network, which is part of the Living in the Future tier, is that the bigger your network, the faster you can actually escape and exit the fiat world. So with that, we're only 20 minutes over today, but we're going to cut the stream off. So head over to zap.stream or use the link in the show notes to sign up for the Living in the Future tier. The $3 one will give you access if you want to be part of the chat here on YouTube and just support the show. So with that, and if you don't feel like continuing, we'll see you right back here first thing tomorrow morning.